So I guess I had a little bit different of a perspective with the groups. I got to actually be the group leader for the teachers. To kind of sum up our entire group, everything went fantastic. At the end, it was such a positive experience. We got to work with the kids, and at the end of the day, every single day, the kids learned something, and they had such a great time doing it. The part I guess I should focus on the most is because I was the group leader, I got to deal with group work the most out of everyone else. It is extremely difficult working with groups in college to begin with, let alone working with a group of 6 teachers, and I believe we had about 6 engineer students. The best way to kind of explain it is to start from the beginning. We were kind of all thrown together into the same group based on what day everyone thought that they could teach. Come to find out that barely anyone could actually teach on the actual day that we were all set in the group for, which was very unfortunate, but it just made for a lot more work than I think should have been in the entire process. That very first day, we kind of just tried to figure out if we had enough teachers to teach the days that we needed them to, which is essentially when I became the group leader because I could teach every single day, whereas everyone else kind of could teach maybe 1 out of the 4 days. And then the engineer students had this really bright idea to teach electricity, and that was completely based on them wanting to do this end of the unit project where they got to do the heart rate monitoring. So they wanted us to focus on electricity throughout the rest of the lessons, which I was very apprehensive towards, and I think the other teachers were too, just mainly because we didn't know a whole lot about electricity. We also didn't know how, with our age range, which was supposed to be 2nd to 4th grade, if they would really know or be able to comprehend the things that we were supposed to be teaching them. But unfortunately, because of how short our day was the very first time, we kind of had to make a split decision, and we decided to just go with the engineer kids, and we decided to do all the lessons for them. And we kind of just seemed like everyone wanted it to be done and over with. So our bright idea was to make a Facebook group. That was supposed to be the easiest way for all of us to communicate. In the end, I think it should have been successful had it been used the proper way. It wasn't successful because a lot of the students that were a part of the group, I think there was a total of 13 of them on there, might have potentially gone on a few times to read the things that were posted, but never actually posted anything about their own feedback. So it didn't work out the way that we all wanted it to. The agreement was that we could do electricity, but only if they supplied us with engineer students, and then only if they would help us figure out different hands-on experiments for each of the weekly lessons. So again, that's when the Facebook page was supposed to pan out, and we were supposed to all communicate through Facebook and discuss what main things about electricity we wanted to teach, and then essentially what great hands-on activities they had in mind for the students. But like I said, that never played out the way it was supposed to. I never once had an engineer student post on Facebook, which was extremely disappointing. But luckily for our group, we probably had one of the greatest experiences with the engineer students because one in particular, Eric, ended up coming every single week, and he threw himself into the teaching. He came the very first day, which I was excited about. We knew that an engineer student was going to be coming, and I kind of expected him just to stand back in the corner and not really do a whole lot, and instead, within about the first 2 minutes, I would say, he completely jumped in, started walking around to all the different tables, talking to them about scientists and electricity and getting them to do their journals. And then after about 30 minutes, I kind of thought, okay, great, this is amazing. Now, he'll just be an extra set of hands. And then he started just taking over, which was perfect. He had no problem disciplining them, which they needed. He was definitely another teacher in the classroom, which was amazing. That made me scared and excited for the following week because I was thinking that there wasn't going to be another engineer student quite like him to show up the following week. And then at the end of the week, he surprised me and told me that he was actually going to be the one that came every single week. So our group was just extremely lucky. We got myself and then Eric, the engineer student, who were able to come every single week. And I think for an after-school program, that's really important because those kids need those constants in that group, and we were definitely those constants. Every week they knew Eric and I would show up, and then they knew another teacher was going to be coming to help out with the lesson, but they still knew it was just Eric and I. They came to us for everything. They were definitely open and welcoming to the new teacher, but I think it just tremendously helped. And I kept viewing it as, if we were all different teachers every single week, how difficult it would have been, because you would have probably spent the majority of your time just wrangling up the students and trying to figure out who's who and getting name tags on them and passing out journals and hoping you had the material that you needed from the prior week because that other teacher took it with her. And I think it just would have been more time running around and less time spent on the actual lesson. So ours worked out perfectly. We had nothing but positivity. The kids were nothing but excited. Anytime one of the students looked like they maybe didn't understand something, or even if they were just kind of off task, Eric was the first one to run over to them. And even if he could, he would just point something out in the room and ask them about electricity. He would get them right back on topic, and it was great. And I think they absolutely loved seeing a male scientist in the room. They definitely just gravitated towards Eric, and it was really nice working with him. The very last day, they got to have quite a few engineer students come, and they actually got to go to the gym and do a bunch of their monitoring, and they learned, I can't say they learned how to lie, but they all got hooked up to lie detecting tests. And they definitely learned how their heart rate monitors kind of just the speed of their heart when they're telling a truth or when they're telling a lie. They learned different tricks to how to slow down their heart rate, which essentially they learned how to tell little lies without making their heart rate jump. But that was definitely fun. And I think the best part about that was the engineer students finally got to be a part of this entire program, and they actually loved it. So it was kind of bittersweet because they all made the comment that they wished that they had been there for prior lessons, and I had wished that too. Even Eric said the very first day, this is a lot more fun than I thought it'd be, and I definitely connected with these students more than I ever thought I could have, and it's something that he really wants to pursue now. And I knew that he was trying to convince the other engineer students to come, and whether it was schedule related or whatever had been going on in their lives, they're busy too, but they couldn't come, and that was unfortunate. And I'm very eager to see this program continue for the following years. I just want it to get a little bit more organized. I think if it's mandatory that they need to be there, I think even after the first day, the engineer students will want to be there. Most of the engineer students are in science because they love it, just like we teachers teach because we love it. So when they're there and they get to share that science with students who are nothing but excited, I think that just makes them want to come back to the classroom even more. So, like I said, in the end, ours worked out great. They didn't quite meet their standard on electricity because their standard was more geared towards 4th and 5th grade, and we had mainly 2nd graders. But I guarantee you every single one of those kids can tell you at least one or two things that they learned about electricity they didn't know before. They can sit there and tell you exactly all the different activities we did, and they can tell you how much fun they had, because that's exactly what our entire group was about. They loved coming. They were eager. Every single week they would ask what we were going to do the following week, and that was just satisfaction for us. That's all we wanted, was for them to have a good time. And I think Eric and myself definitely made that happen.